Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Wreaths Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
And welcome back to the Tracer Rounds podcast. And I'm Terry, your host. And with me tonight is my special guest, Marine veteran Shane Santelli. Welcome, Shane.
Hi, how you doing, Terry?
So glad to have you on the podcast tonight. So I already said that you are a Marine veteran. Will you tell us a little bit about maybe how old you were when you joined and what MOS you signed up for and maybe just some things about your service?
Sure, Terry. Well, I joined late. We spoke earlier. I said, I was a union plumber. I grew up plumbing with my dad, but, since a young kid, I always wanted to be a Marine. So after some things happened with my union local, I, just figured I'd take that time. I was 21 and I enlisted then. I enlisted into combat support, everything, it was a surge when, everyone was signing up, they were sending 30,000 over. So a lot of the 03 was closed out, or you just had to wait a little extra to get in. So I went combat support, ended up being a 7212 Stinger gunner, low altitude air defense. So I was stationed down in Cherry Point with 2nd Lab Battalion, Alpha Battery. I did 5 years only because I was held in an extra year on a med hold. Deployed to Afghanistan, one OEF, one TAC 10. So we were out there. I think we deployed in February, Valentine's Day. So we were out there. We did a lot of base security, external patrols, all that. So I ended up getting hit by 2 IEDs while we were out there. That was pretty much everything that we were getting. There was a really small cell in our area, so we had to deal with a lot of mortar attacks, rockets, and a lot of IEDs. So that was kind of my military experience in there. Coming back, I ended up leaving the Marine Corps as a sergeant, and I ended up getting medically retired, and everything, all that was history. I wish I could have stayed in and kept on going, but they kind of had a different end game for me. So here I am now, all these years later, and trying to give back with the program, the Overwatch initiative that I'm in the middle of trying to get going now to help veterans and first responders that are dealing with PTSD and substance abuse, and just trying to get people the help that they need, because there's a big crack. And I've seen too many people fall through it, and I really don't want to see it anymore. So I want to, do whatever I can to kind of give back and help out.
That's our executive director. He's on tonight. So what exactly does the Overwatch do? What types of services, what type of nonprofit are you trying to start?
Well, the whole purpose behind it, which I started while I was in Coatesville, reaching out to local organizations, the American Legion, the VFWs, all being willing to allow me to facilitate meetings, to be able to have kind of a place for veterans and first responders to get together and kind of, be a support system for one another. Because there's a lot of things out there for people that have different problems, and we just, as veterans, we tend to not like to just open up to anybody.
Yeah. So
I figured, after talking to, a lot of first responders that I'm friends with, fellow veterans, and, we all deal with a lot of the same types of trauma. And we just don't really feel comfortable just going and talking to a whole bunch of people that really we don't feel like kind of are going to understand,
right,
what we're going through. And the byproduct of a lot of these issues is substance abuse. And I'm a result of it. I mean, I battled with alcohol for many, many years. Yeah. And it didn't matter whether I went to the VA for help. Apparently lists just go missing, and then you got to get back on a list. Try to go to the state for help. You make $13 too much. You try to get into a program, but you have too many sober days. So you basically have to show up drunk or high or whatever just to get in the program. And like I said, it's a big crack, and too many people fall through it, or, depending on what career you're in as a first responder, there's a stigma. I mean, you could get labeled if you ask for help, right. So we're not exactly comfortable asking for help because we're afraid what's going to happen to us. I mean, it kind of gets looked down upon that, yeah, you understand the job that you signed up for, you understand what you're doing, but you shouldn't have to be afraid to get the help that you actually need to be able to do the job that you're really good at doing. And I mean, a lot of us, we're great warriors. We get trained to go to war. We get trained for all this stuff, but you don't exactly get trained for coming back home.
That's true.
So what I noticed was, not only myself, but a lot of my brothers that I serve with, we had a big problem with disconnecting from people. We're connected with each other because we shared the same experiences, right. But you come home and it's like, how do you just talk to your wife or, your siblings or your parents about these things? I mean, it'd probably be one thing if, your dad, he was a Vietnam veteran or desert or whatever, you know what I mean? He's seen the things that you've seen. He's been through the things that you've been through. So that may be easier to talk to them. Right. But if you don't have somebody like that, the only people you can confide in are your brothers that you served with. That was always my outlet. And unfortunately, I've lost a lot of brothers to, self-harm and substances, ODs and stuff like that. And, it was really sad to see that one day I'm talking to them and everything seemed good.
Yeah.
But, a day or two later, I'm getting a call that, hey, just want to let you know that so-and-so, something happened. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like I let them down, even though I knew what they were going through, Right. So I just want to make sure that whether you're a veteran or a first responder that's dealing with trauma, whether it be PTSD or you're dealing with substance issues, I get it, and I want to make sure that people have a place that they could go and be surrounded by people that understand what they're going through.
Yeah, peer-to-peer support is so important because you feel like you're being judged if it's somebody that's not in the service and not understanding what you've been through or what what you had to do. And so you feel like you may be judged by somebody that wasn't a part of that because they might look down on it or they might think of you one way based on what you had to do.
Yeah. And, another part of that too is, like for a long time when it came to my alcoholism, I always thought that, I was going to go through and I was going to say, hey, I'm going to do what I got to do for my kids, or I'm going to do what I got to do for my wife or my family or whoever.
Right.
And I never really stopped to think like, hey, if I just do it for myself, I'm really doing it for everybody else. I'm not just trying to appease somebody.
Right.
I'm actually making a difference mentally and physically with myself. And yeah, I can be what I need to be for everybody else. I could help other people more if I actually get this straight.
That is so true.
That's why when I got to Coatesville, and I've heard of SMART before, the SMART Recovery Program. And I had tried AA before, and it's kind of funny because depending on where I may say where you are, you may take to it differently. Because out here where I'm at, like I would go to AA meetings and it would seem kind of like I'm being snubbed at, when they hear that I'm a veteran and this or that or whatever. It just wasn't a comfortable setting.
Yeah.
But then when I got around veterans going through the same exact thing, it was way easier to open up and talk about things and try and figure out why I was doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then the PTSD on top of it, but they all intertwine. Everyone has a different way of coping with things.
That's
some
true.
healthy, some not healthy.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of us take the unhealthy routes of doing things.
Well, because it's the easiest.
It is. I mean,
it's the path of least resistance. Because I mean, like if you have to go out and run, that requires you to like be at a level. But if you just put a drink in your mouth or something like that, that's a little easier than having to like really think about what you're going to do to keep yourself well. That takes more effort for sure.
Yeah, it really does. But in the end, everything's really a mental game. Whether it's hyping yourself to go out and run 10 miles or just get through the day, and do what you have to do to, take care of yourself the right way. So I just want to see more people feel comfortable but also know that they have a place to come, when they're having a bad night and they really need to get something off their chest, or they just, and I even said this too. I was talking to a couple friends of mine. They're out of state. Most of my brothers are all across the country like normal. I don't really have anyone left here around me, but we talk every day. And, they told me, they're like, even when everything gets started, like maybe people just come and they just want to sit in silence. And I thought about that too. And I was like, you know what? It's not too far-fetched. A lot of times, like there's just all this chaos going around.
Yes.
Maybe you just want a place to just sit in silence and have a little bit of peace.
Yeah.
Until, people start feeling a little more comfortable. Like I don't need to force anybody to talk. I'll talk all I want. And you could just listen,
Right.
Because I've definitely seen enough and been through enough and have enough life experience, not only through myself, but just seeing it all around me my whole life.
Right.
So, if I could just help people feel comfortable and get the help that they need, then I'm just fine with that. That was the whole reason for me wanting to do it as a nonprofit. I'm not here to make money off of it. I'm just here to make sure people get the help that they need, because that crack really isn't a crack. I mean, it's like people just falling off the Grand Canyon.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
but there's a lot of changes that have to be made. But, I always say, like, it always starts with us, because we can't rely on politicians or anybody else to say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fix this, and then there's no follow through on it. But we're always here for each other. We don't need anybody else to do that for us.
Right. Well, like you said, it's a mental game or a mental state that you have to be in to do things that are healthy and to do things that are good for you. And, when you join the military, it was all a mind game. They all got us to be a team. They smoked us, they did this, they did that. And it was all a mind game to get us where they needed us to be, to act as a unit, to act as a team. And so really and truthfully, having a community behind you is the same way. You're getting yourselves in a good place. You're working as a team to make things better for one another, because that's what we've learned and that's what we know works.
It's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. 100%.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to play a Reese Across America video. We are a Reese sponsor. We are partnering with Reese Across America for Reese for Veterans for their headstones for Christmas. And so I'm going to play their ad real quick, and we'll be right back with Shane.
At Military Broadcast Radio, the goal is to offer a platform for mental health advocacy while connecting the military community through various media platforms. Founded by U.S. Army veteran Joel Hunt, MBR gives a voice to veterans, first responders, and their families through streaming radio, podcast, video, and outreach events. With its leadership run completely by veterans and hosts of the diverse programming from all branches of service, MBR was created as a response to the silent battles veterans face after service. Military Broadcast Radio is also a Wreaths Across America partner, hosting a $5 sponsorship group page. For every Veterans Wreath sponsored through the Military Broadcast Radio page, MBR receives $5 back to help support their platforms and outreach. Veteran and first responder stories need to be told and shared. And with your support, MBR can continue to bring together veteran nonprofits, mental health organizations, and government agencies to bridge the gap between veterans and vital resources. To find out more and donate, visit wreathacrossamerica.org/MBR.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And welcome back to MBR, and this is a Tracer Rounds podcast, and I have Shane Santelli with me, and he is a Marine veteran. I wanted to play that video that I loaded in the studio, and then I want you to kind of walk us through it if you don't mind. Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to play a quick video, and then Shane's going to walk us through what he was going through at that time.
My fucking video message. I love you, baby.
We got hit by multiple IEDs. I was hit by one. I was riding in the back of a truck. Ended up getting hit when I was just happened to take my seatbelt off and reach over across the gunner's platform to grab a bottle of water when we got hit. And it really just went so fast at that point, and then it just slowed down, and it was just like everything just kind of stopped. When the blast hit, I was thrown up and hit my head on the roof of the truck. And on my way up, I seen my gunner's legs going out of the turret. You know, you come back and you just don't feel the same. It's almost like I just miss it. I don't know, I haven't figured out how to put it to the side and just be a normal civilian, you know. I like to think that my deployment was worth it. You know, we all like to think that we made a difference. I'm proud every day of that uniform. Veterans Day to me is a day to remember all of those who have served and just to honor them, you know, and the things that they've done and the things that they've accomplished to give us a better future. If you want to show your support or find out how to show your support, just look up organizations that help veterans coming back. Maybe a church or organization that sends care packages out there, because I mean, when we got out there, we didn't have anything. I mean, it would have been nice to have some baby wipes, you know, or, you know, just stupid little things. You know, those are the things that you get home at the end of the day and you just happen to get a care package from the local church, you know, and hey, there's a Kit Kat in there. You haven't eaten MREs for 3 months straight and haven't had anything, and hey, I got a Kit Kat, you know, that's cool. You know, boosts a little bit of morale. You know, that little bit of support says, hey, what we're doing is appreciated.
That's pretty moving.
Yeah, that whole documentary came by chance, actually. I had gotten back, and I was having a lot of problems through the from the TBIs, from the 2 IEDs. It says one there. That was actually a short clip put together for a Veterans Day thing. That was out of an hour-long documentary.
Okay.
But yeah, they after about a year, it was 2000. I was deployed 2010. Late 2011, they sent me to NICO, the National Intrepid Center of Excellence in Bethesda, where they ran all these tests and all that. And I had a really good team there. That was actually probably the best treatment I've ever gotten while I was in the Marine Corps and after I got out. It was absolutely amazing. If everybody could get treatment like that, it'd be a whole lot better.
Right.
But I was always an artist. I always drew, always did different types of art, but I was never really a painter. So I ended up, I started painting while I was there for art therapy. And I got hooked up with a group called the Graffiti War Project. It was ran by Jason Parsons and his wife. And they showcased veteran artwork all across the country. And through that, I got introduced to a girl named Amanda Winkler. She was doing an internship with her friend who was also a camera woman. And I guess it was their thesis.
I think you froze up.
I probably because I got 9 people in the house and everybody's on the internet.
Understood.
So I don't even know where it cut off at.
You were talking about your art, and you were talking about how you got started.
All right. So yeah, I ended up getting introduced to a girl named Amanda Winkler. She comes from a family of veterans, but she was doing an internship at Reason TV. And I guess it was like a thesis that she was doing, and she decided to do a documentary on veterans and post-traumatic stress disorder after coming back from war. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be broken down to like 8 to 10 different veterans. And after she met me and my family, my son was about 2 at the time. She ended up meeting us and ended up doing an hour-long documentary on, my time over there.
Oh, wow.
The funny thing about it, and it's not really funny, but 2 weeks before we actually talked about doing this, my son actually saved my life. I was in a very bad place, and he took 2 years old, took a loaded gun out of my hand, put it down. It was it was pretty crazy because it was like 10 o'clock in the morning in North Carolina, and I know the sun was out, but the entire house was pitch black.
Right.
And all I hear are these little feet come walking up to me. And that happened. He walked me to his bedroom, and then all of a sudden, like a blinding light hit, and everything was back to normal. Then we did the documentary. Her and a camera woman, like I said, they were doing an internship, and it ended up going to, I believe, the DC Film Festival, and she ended up winning and getting hired permanent with Reason TV. She's gone to do a whole lot of documentaries, a lot of stuff about veterans. So she's a really great woman. I really got to thank her for that. Kind of get choked up thinking about that the whole time. Because that was, it was certainly the first time I really opened up to anybody about anything. Yeah. And towards the end of it, she made multiple trips from I believe she was in California at the time, back to finished up when I was back home in Jersey. And at first, I didn't think I was gonna sign the release. Like I was like, there's plenty more people that really should be telling their story, And a friend of mine, he told me, he's like, look, man, it kind of had that mentality, like, you know what? I don't have to change the world, 100 people at a time. It only takes one person. One person can influence one, that could influence two, and it could just go on and on and on. And that's kind of what stayed in my head too when I went through and I came up with the idea for the Overwatch initiative. Even though I know there's plenty of people that I've met on TikTok, same way that we met, that have programs like this throughout the country, and I think it's great because they give me a lot of really good information. I wish I had something written down here with everybody's name on it so I could shout out to them, because they really are deserving of it, because a lot of them have been doing this stuff for a long time, and they've helped a lot of people. I didn't realize that all the coffee, and of course veterans, we drink a lot of coffee, right? So I didn't realize that the only coffee we got was actually through donations.
Oh, wow.
So I found that out, and I put up like a 35-second post on TikTok about it. And all of a sudden I was flooded with comments of people asking for the address, and from then on, I mean, I don't think we had to worry about coffee at all. And it was like I had an issue with my phone. I had to restart my whole TikTok, and I lost a bunch of contacts. And then 2 weeks ago, I had to do a factory default on my phone because my camera just stopped working, and I couldn't get that fixed. Okay. So I just had to do a factory default, and now my camera's working, so I could.
You got a lot of
you got to do it. But, things happen, like we talked about. All the struggles we go through. You learn something from it, and the big thing with them is patience. You got to have patience. It's a seed I learned to plant a long time ago, and thankfully, it's grown over the years.
Yeah, I mean, some of the lessons are hard to learn, but the learned lessons are very valuable, and you learn that you don't want to do that again, or you learn to do it again if it worked. So, even though the struggle is real and the struggle is hard, when you're coming to having to learn some of those lessons, they're very valuable. And, in hindsight, you thank God for the lesson because you needed it.
Absolutely. Hindsight's always 20/20. I've gotten a different result, but I've gotten a little wiser over the years. I guess my daughter's always pointed out that that's where all the white hair is coming from. So I must be getting a little wiser.
Yeah, I think some of us are a little hard-headed, and it takes one or two times learning.
It's worth it in the end.
So
it makes for a good story.
So we were talking before the show, and you talked about that you'd gotten into a program for alcoholism. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think the lesson there is very valuable, and then the things you were doing outside of your recovery.
Unfortunately, I ended up back in jail. Alcohol was definitely a part of it. I've been trying to get the help for a long time, and just by chance, and I got into a program in Coatesville, the SUD program. Actually, from what I believe, it's still the #1 program in the country. And my counselor in the jail happened to just run into a VA liaison that had just started getting veterans into this program a month or two prior. So he had gotten 3 veterans in between Coatesville, and I think there was one more out in Pittsburgh. So Coatesville was the closest one, and ended up being the better of the programs because it added to the program. I ended up getting made the resident assistant of the program up until I moved over to PTSD. But for my second week there, I believe, I became the Smart Recovery instructor. So I was teaching 2 months. And through that time, it just started growing and growing. When I finally transferred over to the PTSD program, I was still doing the Smart Recovery for SUD, but PTSD didn't have the SMART program with it. They only had it once a week. It was for like a half an hour, and that's not enough time to really do anything with. And a lot of these people never went through SUD, so they never even heard of the Smart Recovery. And I know a lot of them also dealt with the same type of issues with the PTSD and SUD. So they started coming over to the SMART classes over in the SUD building, in which the female program, which I believe was Power, they would come over too. So the class, the SMART Recovery program I was instructing, ended up getting for me to actually be able to host everybody, to facilitate it. And it apparently, I mean, a lot of the guys in Coatesville still, they asked me, like, because they were telling me they wanted me to become a peer-to-peer support specialist there. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to get home to my kids, which, I mean, I would have loved to be able to do it. I wish there was something like that by me. That was another reason for the Overwatch initiative. Yeah. Because I saw the help that I could give people there. If I could help similarly here, whether it be for substances or for PTSD or whatever it is, I could still make a difference that way.
Yeah. So you could, when you're developing this Overwatch, you can include the SMART program in your nonprofit, and that would probably help a lot of people even more. You're going to help them just having a peer-to-peer, but you'll help them get past some of their struggles if you have this SMART element included in it.
Yeah, that's part of it. I put my paperwork in to be to get certified as a facilitator through SMART. So I'm waiting for that to come back for me, because I have to take a test and obviously pass this to get the certification after I pass the exam. But I don't think I'll have an issue with that. I kind of know the book inside and out. But that I would like to be able to do that, because it doesn't have to all be about one thing. As long as people are coming and they're getting whatever assistance they need. And hopefully it could branch out too, and depending on what I point them in the right direction to, if I can't help, I at least know where they can get the information they need. But
yeah, it's really plugging people into the right resources.
Yeah, and you know what? What I noticed when it comes to veterans is, like, all the best kept, like Coatesville. Since 2017, I asked for help, and I could have gone there way back then. But then I also thought in the long run, like we said, hindsight's 2020. Who's to say that I would have got the actual help I needed back in 2017?
That's trying to do recovery for somebody else, but really you can't do recovery for somebody else. You have to do it for yourself, like you said, because it's not going to be lasting or a lasting change if you're only doing it for somebody else. You're not wanting it. You have to want it yourself.
That's absolutely 100% true. So, I mean, maybe I would have gained some knowledge then, but it doesn't mean I would have stuck. I mean, like, a lot of the guys I knew through the program there, the VA hospital, the VA medical center is up on the biggest, one of the biggest hills there. So they called it the Hill. But a lot of the vets that were repeaters there, I mean, there were some guys that they would say, this is kind of my getaway. They go there, they get the help they need for however long they needed it for. They go back, they'd be good for weeks, months, years even. And then they always knew they had some place to fall back on.
Yeah.
But this, places like this just they're not talked about. So I want people to know, like, these places are out there. You guys make sure you talk to your VSOs, because they should know about these places.
Yeah, Red from Freedom from Struggle said so true. He has a show on, it's on Saturdays. It typically was. He's on a little bit of a break, but he has a recovery program that talks about different challenges that people go through and how you come to the other side of them, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. And I think we're going to do Linwood King. He's a Marine veteran, drifter.
I'm a drifter, babe. Don't want to love a man like I'm a drifter, babe. I'll be loving you tonight, but tomorrow I'm gonna leave. I'm a drifter, babe. You don't wanna love a man like me, no. Alright, I'll be loving you tonight, but tomorrow I'm gonna I've been all alone since I was 17. I've been all alone since I was 17. I'll be loving you tonight. Tomorrow,
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
And welcome back. We're on the Tracer Rounds podcast, and I have Shane Santelli with me, and we're talking about his nonprofit he's trying to start. I have a question for you though. You do art, and so do you try to sell it to raise some money for your nonprofit, or do you make art for people, or what do you do with your art? Is it just for you, or do you try to put it out in the marketplace?
Well, when I first started, when I got back from the NICO facility, I was doing a lot of painting, and on the base they actually had a basically like a fundraiser where I donated a bunch of my artwork. I think it generated around like $1,700 to go out where I could sell prints off there. I haven't been on there in a while, so I haven't gotten any orders off of that. But a lot of that stuff sold. I haven't even kept in touch with that site. A lot of my art, I'll post up on my social media, and if people are interested, there more that I did years ago that people kind of took an interest to, and I'm surprised it was actually still in as good a shape as it was. So, I mean, I like to do a lot of that. I just, things got very hectic over the last few years, so things slowed down for a while, and I finally got back to the right place mentally to be able to start doing that again. I have my own heat press now, so I have 2 accounts to be able to make my own t-shirt designs. So I've been working on that, doing that. Creating designs on my phone isn't the same as doing it on a computer. So
that's true.
I definitely need to only be able to finish the handbook that I started writing for PTSD and substance abuse, but also that'll make it a whole lot easier to do my graphic design for the t-shirts. And yeah, I did plan on selling the t-shirts to help raise money for the nonprofit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's always a way to go, because people will buy t-shirts.
I have a lot of designs and a lot of my artwork. I wanted to see if I could get high resolution pictures, because I know on my hard drive, I had probably 40 or 50 paintings that a buddy of mine's cousin, she's a photographer, and she packed away somewhere in my garage in a Pelican case. So I've been looking for that for years now, and I still haven't found it. But I know I have. I know I have it. I just don't know exactly where it is. Right. So
it's a scavenger hunt.
No, it really is. I mean, every day I find stuff, and I was like, yeah, it is. I mean, but life sometimes, and trying to do everything plus, take care of everybody and do all that, getting this started up by myself is a little difficult. But I got, patience is key. I just gotta, I'm hopeful, and I got a lot of people that want to get involved. So, I'm thankful for them too, and I'm thankful for you for allowing me on here to do this. And all the support everybody else has given me has been great. I really do appreciate all of it. And that's really what it needs to be, because we can't rely on other people.
So did you ask the VFW or the American Legion if you could just to meet, and that way you could kind of get started and bring those veterans in that wanted part of that program?
Absolutely, they're all on board. Cool. They're all on board, and a lot of the first responders, I know they think it's a really good idea too, and stuff like that. But obviously, I need to get it actually up and running before I could start hosting anything. So that's really my first step, is getting that going. And as soon as it is, I could definitely start doing things. But just getting the word out there is the biggest thing for me right now. Because I mean, it's not going to be a nationwide thing, obviously, right off the bat. Maybe it will. I mean, I got a lot of people that, they just, if we could help each other out, whatever we could do for you, what you could do for us, and do it that way, which is perfectly fine for me because, that's what it's all about. It's just being there and supportive of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the groups, I mean, there's so many different veteran organizations, and if we're very powerful, if we all came together to do good for veterans, we really could. I mean, we're a strong organization, all of us together. I mean, I don't think anything could stop us if we put our mind to it.
I definitely agree with you there. I mean, it's a tough bunch to kind of hold down.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. That's how we got
That's right. Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. And, even if that's just where you start, you just start with a group and then work your way into fundraising. And then, a lot of those VFWs and American Legions have community support dollars that they have to give out. And then maybe that's part of helping you with that program is that community support piece. So maybe that's the community outreach.
Yeah, that's what the hope is. I mean, I'm supposed to be meeting with the commander here at the Stroudsburg American Legion. So hopefully, get some things started there and get the VFW involved. I mean, I've reached out to Wounded Warrior Project. We're on, they all have their own things that they're doing as well. So, everything takes time, and that's where the patience comes in.
And what area are you in, and what area are you trying to find?
I'm in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay.
So Monroe County is, where I'm starting, because I know Monroe County has one of the highest. That's kind of I think that's a big reason why I'd like to start doing something like that here, because we have so many of us here, and everybody needs a shoulder sometimes.
Yeah.
So
definitely. So what would you like someone to do that wanted to help? How would you suggest they help partner with you in this?
I talked to a few other people. They said, why don't you start a GoFundMe? And like I told you, I want things to be transparent. I don't want to just say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. But, I kind of need to get money up to start the nonprofit. But is this money really going towards that? So I wanted to make sure that it was very transparent to where everything is going and how money that's being donated is being used. So I need to find a way to make sure that that's transparent, so people feel secure that, hey, he's just not going off and doing this with donations.
Yeah.
I want them to make sure that they know this is what it's going for, and that I want to make sure the veterans and first responders get the help that they need, however that is. So, information is really is really a good way to start. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows somebody that could help. I'm waiting on a call from a buddy of mine that I serve with. The word got put out to him. He started a foundation to help veterans get their benefits. So he's where he's going to try and he's getting in touch with me to try and help me get. He probably has some contacts that and resources that would help me get this up and running as well. So just getting in touch with the right people,
Yeah. Maybe the VSOs too have some, things they know about, or of, something to help with the process or whatever. I mean, because that's really what they do, is they do community engagement for veterans. So maybe they know of some resources that might be able to assist, or people you could partner with, so maybe reaching out to them would be a good idea too.
Yeah, I've reached out to the VSO here a couple times, and I haven't gotten a call back yet.
Oh my goodness!
It's one. I get that. You know what I mean? So I can't just say, "Hey, drop whatever you're doing and come help me." So I get that, and patience is key. So the word's out there. I still reach out every day, try and make contact with people and see what I need to do first. And they've given me suggestions. A lot of them have been, once it's up and running, we could actually put the donations forward to be able to start getting everything, really rolling. It's just my hardest battle right now. Because if I could do that, then I can make everything transparent. And I can make sure that people are comfortable and they see what's really going on.
Well, I think if you get your art up and you get your T-shirts up, I think that's your fundraiser right there.
It's actually inside painting right now, so I gotta make sure she cleans my brushes off. So as soon as I get inside, that's gonna be the first thing I do is make sure all my brushes are clean.
Right, so you can get busy.
Yeah,
I think it resonates with them, and they're less likely to question it. You're like, well, I'm selling my art to raise funds for this, and so at least they're getting something for their money, and there's not that wonder where the money's going.
That's absolutely, yep, that's true.
Yeah.
This we used to have a lot of there used to be a lot of fairs and things like that in Stroudsburg. And the last couple of years, well, actually, since COVID, everything's kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
So, and that's where a lot of people will go and showcase and do a lot of things like that. And there hasn't been too much going on recently. Yeah. So, but it is what it is.
I mean, TikTok and Instagram and all that. I mean, you can get the word out pretty quick, and you get a bunch of shares, and you never know how.
Yeah, I was actually surprised just when I posted that video how fast it went out, because that was actually the first one that I've had that actually blew up like that, and I was really surprised. So that's what made me want to have a little more drive to get something like this going, because I could see that people want it, they need it, and it's just making it happen now.
Right. Yeah. Just putting one foot in front of the other and making progress, because even if it's just a small amount of progress is progress.
Progress is progress. You're moving forward. You're not going backwards.
That's right. Yeah. You have to be thankful for even the smallest amount of progress, because you're still moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So is there anything that I haven't asked you about, or anything that you'd just like to say, or anything you'd like to put out to anybody, or just this is your time to just give us a message that you want to give us?
Honestly, I mean, my big, and I would say it sounds kind of corny, but it's really not corny, because a lot of us veterans, we already do it. We started a buddy check Thursday, so just make sure, everybody that, you would normally keep in contact, your close friends, whether friends, family, veteran, just making sure how bad someone's day really is, or how you could affect somebody just by asking, hey, just checking in, just want to make sure everything's cool, you're good, and just showing them that, hey, there are people do care.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a big difference with people just by the simplest thing.
Yeah.
And especially with veterans, like, we tend to suppress so many things. So when you like I said, I got a couple of buddies and we have a group message on through text every morning, and we reach out every single morning. We're checking in, just letting each other know that we're all right, because we know the struggle that each other's been going through. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of people that aren't with us anymore, and people just go through things.
Yeah.
And to know that you actually have people out there supporting you that care about you, because we tend to lose sight of that sometimes.
I agree. I mean, we forget people actually care, or
yeah, we do. Somebody. I mean, I know I did, and that was the big part of the disconnection. You get used to just kind of being there for yourself, and you either manage it the right way or you manage it the wrong way.
Right.
And knowing that, hey, it's okay to in the store and, spill your guts to them. But, people that you trust, when you're going through some stuff, it really does help to kind of get it out, get it off your chest to somebody you trust, because that can make a world of difference. And the more you bottle things up, man, you can only fill so much stuff in that bottle.
Yeah, I interviewed author Chris Whittemore, and he was a Marine veteran, and he was over in Afghanistan and Iraq, and he had all that bottled up junk, kept suppressing it. I'd be fine. I just drink a little bit, or I just do this, or I just do that, and it'd make it better. And then I just avoid people and not try to talk to them. So, there comes a point, like you said, it just boils over, and you just have to do something about it. Like, you have to talk to somebody. You actually have to make things and put things in place. That was about is it's terror to triumph. So all the terror of war, and then how he triumphed on the other side of it. How he was able to get help and able to really process everything that happened and really come out good on the other side of it. So, you're so right that we just keep taking it on, and at some point it's just too much.
No, that's absolutely true. And I'm going to have to check that book out.
Yeah, it's really good. It's out in stores right now. He just had a book signing in Dallas at the Barnes & Noble, and he's going to do more here in Texas. But it is on Amazon, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really good read. I mean, you can hear what happened, basically. I mean, it's that visceral that you can really hear and see and kind of get the real idea of what was going on at the time. And then you really see how he's come full circle to the other side of it. And, he's come through all of
that. That's really awesome.
To make it different.
That's really awesome. Because I was never much for writing, but part of that was, journaling and things like that, and just getting it out there. Yeah, I was really writing it down like that. That's a whole different kind of release that you can get. So I could definitely see where that definitely would not only help him but other people. Even being able to read it, you really can feel it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what he did too. He was just journaling because that's what they told him would be best if he just wrote it all out. And then his wife said, "Well, why don't you write a book? Why doesn't this become a book?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me? I don't write books."
Mm-hmm.
And so it became a book, and he's writing another one too, and he's trying to get it published now. But I mean, I think he does a really good job explaining how it is in the service, how it is when you come back from war, and how it is in your mindset, and how you have to really rethink everything you thought you knew. Everything, like you said, that video really put it into perspective. You're like, well, I felt like I needed to be back there, like I lost my sense of community. And that's exactly what he said too. Like, I felt like I needed to be over there. I needed to be in that environment because that's what I understood and what I knew.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's kind of crazy when you say it, like, I felt more comfortable over there than I did when I came home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everything was, I don't want to say easier, but mentally, in my mind, things were easier. It was, to a certain extent, yeah, you know exactly what to expect, but it's, yeah. And then when you get out, you miss that camaraderie. I mean, when we all know that we didn't get along with every single person in our unit, but even that person that you didn't get along with the most, they were still there for you when the time came to, and that's one thing that you miss when you get back here is you can't just rely on the person to the left or right of you when you're home. I mean, I was fortunate enough that, when I was working with the Park Service, that a lot of the guys that I worked around in maintenance, a lot of them were veterans. So, we bonded on a different level than you would anybody else. But, I just think that veterans and like-minded people, I think it's important that we be there to support each other, because you never know what the next person's going through. And they really sometimes just don't know that people really care as much as they do.
That's very true. Well, we're going to have to go, but I've enjoyed our talk. I really have appreciated you coming on the show and really talking about your nonprofit. And if somebody wants to help you, you can, what's the best place? Instagram to reach you?
No, I honestly, probably on TikTok at the moment. You want to find me on Facebook deleted mine. But yeah, no, TikTok is Omega_7212. Is happy to find me on TikTok. So yeah, that'd probably be the best way. And I think also on there, I think I have my other ones linked.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, definitely TikTok Omega7212. You'll find me.
Sounds good. Well, if we can help you anyway, you reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be here to support.
Thank you so much, Terry. It was a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our... So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.